Hello viewers worldwide, I'm Dave Kassler, amateur radio call sign KE0OG, with some good news for people out there who need to communicate over radios with each other and don't have any kind of a license and can use this kind of radio, which is completely license free. There is a radio service that the FCC has designated called the Family Radio Service. It was Radio Shack, way back in the time, that requested that this service be set up. It's low-powered FM radios that nonetheless have a reasonable distance and can be used to talk, and you don't need any kind of license. You can use this radio for anything as long as it's not illegal, immoral, or fattening. So, the reason I bring this up is because there is a fellow who does videos on paragliders. They're parachutes that have little motors on your back, and you can scoot around a lot of places with these and go very interesting places. They are Part 103 FAR, Federal Aviation Regulations, Part 103 aircraft, so they don't require a license. And that doesn't mean you don't need a license for radio communication. Now, I was watching one of these videos, and they were about to make a radio communication, and they turned on their radio, and I heard that famous voice, channel mode. Well, channel mode, it means it's a Chinese radio. It's a Baofeng, probably, and it can transmit on many different frequencies, including amateur radio frequencies. And who knows how these people chose a radio. All of the memories, or at least 10 or 15 of the memories on these radios, are already pre-programmed. Unfortunately, in the US, those pre-programmed frequencies are often things that are not things that you're allowed to transmit on. In fact, if one of the frequencies on there I know is a federal government frequency. Some frequencies are ham frequencies, others are fire, others are police, and so on. You can't use these radios on those frequencies. So what do you use? Well, you use a radio from the Family Radio Service, or FRS. And there's quite a few available. Now, Redivus, the company in China that I've worked with on numerous times, makes these FRS radios. They're quite inexpensive. I asked them to send two, because one radio won't do me any good. I don't have anybody to talk to. So we've got the two radios here. So let's open the box and see what's inside. Instruction manual, which is actually fairly well written. You have the radio itself. See if I can get it out of here. Okay. The radio, note that it has an attached antenna. You cannot take the antenna off without breaking it. If you have a little radio and the antenna screws off, you know immediately that it's not an FRS radio. For example, sorry, wow. For example, this Anytone radio right here, okay, and you can get radios like this from China, and note that the antenna comes off, and you can put on different antennas and so on. If it does that, you're not allowed to use that without a license, okay? But these radios have the antenna that won't come off. They are Family Radio Service. You tune them on. Here we go.
1.
That's channel 1.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Okay, there are 22
5,
channels.
4, 3, 2, 1. 22.
22 channels. So the only thing that you and your communications partner need to be concerned about is that you're on the same channel. Now, there are a number of features of the radio that allow you to put codes in here so you only hear radios from your friends. Now, note that if you don't put a code in here, you'll hear everybody on the band. So there's no privacy afforded by this in spite of what words they might use. Now, what else comes in here? This is a little belt clip that attaches to these right here if you're into belt clips. There's a cord for recharging. Here is the recharger. Got it out of there. There's a little clip here so you have a loop to hold on to it. And I would suggest that you do that you use this while you're talking to it. If you're up paramotoring and you drop a radio, you're in trouble. This is a little adapter which goes to 5 volts. So you plug it into the wall, you get 5 volts out. You don't have to use this. You can use your computer, you can use anything that the standard USB will plug into. Now this other end, there's 2 ways you can use this. Now note this is it's actually polarized here. It goes into there. You put the radio in here with the back to the back. Make sure that it sits on those things fine, okay, just like that. Or you can take that and put that over there and plug this directly into the radio under here, okay? And you can charge them in your car, for example. Just charge them in the car. A lot of cars these days have little USB jacks in there that you can plug into, okay? And you can charge your radio or radios in the car. Now, I have seen some chargers for FRS radios that actually have 2 ends that can go into the radio. So it's very simple to use. Let me show you a little bit about the owner's manual. Okay, this is the owner's manual. It's an RT40B. That's Bravo. RT40 Bravo. 2-way radio user's manual. This is a family radio service, and it's legal in the United States. Okay, now these FRS radios are not necessarily legal in other countries. But I want to talk about some of the effects here. We see on this, you know what the buttons are. There are a couple extra buttons, 7 and 8. 7 is SK1 button, which will, if you hold it down, it will do away with the squelch. So if the signal coming from the other person is really very difficult to pick up, you can press Money and still get it. It's an FM radio, so the signal will fade rapidly. There's an alert function, and I do not recommend the voice-operated function because wind noise, anything can make that thing come on, okay? So it's real simple to use, just a volume control and the channel selector. Okay, there's an LED indicator, the microphone just speaking to the front of the radio. The push-to-talk switch is on the left side, like so many radios. And then the SK1, the SK2 button will give you a battery indicator. Now let me show you what that battery indicator is. Let's push this button. 3. What's that mean?
2, 1, 20, 21.
Okay, channel 21. The battery indicator?
3.
3. I mean, it's fully charged, okay? So you can figure there's going to be a 2, a 1, and probably not a 0 for that. And the battery pack does come off, although it can take a little bit of doing to do that. And there's no reason to take it off. Just leave it like that. So let's talk about other items in here. We've got The unit transceiver comes, a lithium-ion battery, although that's already attached. It may not be in yours. You may have to attach it. There's a charger, which is the little box, the cable, adapter, belt clip, user manual, and hand strap. Okay, and it talks a little bit about some precautions for lithium-ion batteries, but they're normal, nothing fancy in here. Charging the battery pack, just put it in. If you plug it directly into the radio, there's a little LED up here, right up in here, right there, that will glow green when it's fully charged and red while it's charging. Okay, so you can use the little stand-up thingy if you want, or you can just plug those straight in. I would recommend that, you know, you're going to get some sort of an idea of how well this works, how long the battery lasts, but I would recommend charging them while you're using them at least once a day. Suppose, for example, you're using this to talk from air to ground with a balloon or with one of those paramotor things or whatever. You can use these. I don't know about the use of regular aircraft channels for paramotors. Some of the bigger ones, the ones that are trikes that take 2 people, actually fly under sport pilot rules. So because they do that, they have to have an N number, and they have to have standard aircraft. Don't have to have, should have a standard aircraft radio, which you can take on board as a walkie-talkie. Okay, so basic operation, switch power, adjusting the volume, selecting a channel. Okay, transmitting and receiving, push to transmit. Okay, now advanced operations. I talked about the MANI button. Let's see, is this on? There.
21.
So we can do without that. That's your alarm. What good it's for, I don't know. A short press, and the squelch is turned off. Okay, longer press, you get that terrible alert. The battery indicators, the SK2. 3. Wow. Okay. And if you hold it for longer, it'll start scanning through all the channels. That's good if you've forgotten what channel somebody is on. You might be able to find them that way. There is a VOX function, which is a voice-operated function. You would think that would be great. It only works if you're in a very quiet location, and then you pick up and speak into it. But it'll also pick up background noise and things like that. And one of the problems is, while one of these is transmitting, you can't use the other one. It only goes one way at once. That's called half duplex. Wide narrow bandwidth selector, use the narrow. Timeout timer can be set. A battery saved, this thing will shut itself off after a little while. Whether you want the channel enunciated, there's no other way of knowing what channel you're on, so I would think you want it enunciated. Low battery alert, you want that. Now the compander, you might want to look at that. Default setting is off. You can activate that, and that would give a little bit more clear audio output. It will not allow you to transmit a further distance, but it will allow you to be heard better on the other end. Now the CTCSS and the DSS is that privacy provision that I put there. If you set this to a CTCSS code and you set your other radios that are all talking to each other on the same code, when one of you transmits, all the other receivers will receive. Now, if you set it up so that the receiver must receive that code in order to be turned on, you won't be bothered by other people on that channel. However, If they're using that channel and you've got your privacy set up so you don't hear them, if you try to transmit, you may not get through because the other signal might be stronger. So I'm not sure I recommend using that because you'd like to know if other people are on the channel. Now, there's only 22 channels on this. We'll get to that in a minute. Wireless replication. Okay, and to enter the copy transmission mode. I don't know what you do with that. In channel 2, press and hold the SK2 button to start the machine at the same time, and the green light flashes to enter the copy receiving mode. Okay, I'll let you figure out what that is, because I don't know what it's for. Care and cleaning, yeah, don't pour water over it. It's not really waterproof. Okay, protect it from the weather. There's a troubleshooting guide here. Now, there's specification tables. They give the frequency range. It's UHF. Now, this is what's important. So I'm going to focus in on this. This is the frequency table. There are 22 channels in the family radio service. And some of these are shared with GMRS, which does require a license. FRS does not require a license. So on some channels, 1 through 7 and 15 through 22, you're transmitting 2 watts. If you transmit on 8 through 14, you are only getting a half a watt. So the other channels are 4 times as much, which is 3 plus 3, 6 dB full S unit, 6 dB difference. I'd recommend using one of the 2 watt channels. These other channels overlap with GMRS. Okay, so it's got stuff in very fine print on the FCC regs and things like that. And there's a guarantee here, but it doesn't tell you where to send it. Okay, so what we're going to do with this right now, is I'm going to give 1 to my assistant, and he's going to take this outside, and we're going to talk over it. Let's get the same
20.
Channel 20. So I'm going to open up this other one, which is already charged, because I charged it. Peel the thing out of there.
1, 22, 21, 20.
Okay, so he's going to take this thing outside with the camera, and I'm going to talk on it, and then he's going to come back in and tell me about the voice quality on it. Okay, ready to go? There you are. Okay, my assistant, Callum, is going through the house and is going to go outside, and we're going to take a look and see how well this works. Now, as far as the distance is concerned, if you've got a clear shot, like from the ground base of the paramotor activity up to someone on a paramotor, it will actually go several miles. Under some circumstances, it can be heard up to 10 miles. However, down on the ground, there are things that interfere with the transmission, like the house, the trees, and so on. So, Callum, how are you hearing me?
Pretty good.
Okay, well, let's just go around the loop there and come on back in, and we'll do some final talking about this. What do you see out there?
Right now I'm just outside looking at the house.
Okay, go around the cul-de-sac and then come back in. I want to see if this, because I'm in the house, I want to see if it gets as far as the cul-de-sac.
Copy that.
Okay, so again, the advantage of these radios is you truly don't need a license to use them. Okay, you can buy them. Make sure that you're buying FRS, or Family Radio Service radios. These are not necessarily legal outside of the United States. This is a United States unique service. It is not Citizens Band. It is family radio service, and these things are designed so a family in the outdoors can use them and come back in without a problem. So Callum, how are you copying me?
I'm outside the cul-de-sac now, on the very end of it, and I can still hear you loud and clear.
Okay, so they do go for a ways. I have several sets of these that various people have sent me. This particular set that we are looking at is the Retevis RT40B two-way radio. And I recommend it. It works. They're relatively inexpensive. They work well. And now, a lot of these FRS radios already have codes for privacy put in. Hi, this is Dave with a quick addendum. I looked on the Amazon website to see how much these radios are. They're about $25 a piece if you buy them one at a time. However, there are a number of deals there where you can purchase up to 10 of them together, and you will see them, and you can use them however you want to use them. So look on Amazon. Get yourself a good price. Where are you now?
Just outside the house. I'm on my way back in.
Okay, very good. I think the voice quality on this is pretty good. Okay. So the FRS radio, again, if you're going to do something like you're flying paramotors or you're doing some other sporting event, these are the kinds of radios to get because you don't need a license. If you're going to do paramotoring and you need something a little longer range, look into getting your amateur radio technician license, because then you can use the bigger radios with much higher power. You can actually put longer antennas on these so you can go a much longer distance, and you could actually use repeaters. On GMRS you can use repeaters, but again you need a license and special gear for it. These radios right here, you can be quite sure that you're okay with the FCC. Okay, so there you have it. If you would like to help fund this channel, you certainly may. Go to dcasler.com/support, and it'll have ways there. Maybe one works for you. Until we next meet, 73.